Okay, welcome to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. We are in volume 18. It's the portion of Chukat. That's what they're reading Israel this Shabbat. That's the energy of the week that we're going to connect to. So as we connect to these verses, first let's invite in the lineage of the Rav and Karen Michael, Rav Shlag, Rav Brandwein, the Ari HaKodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rav Mazulai, Rav Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolonu Shapir Piasetza, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai and all the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, one soul with Joseph the Righteous in Shechem. Yesterday was the anniversary of elevation of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rav Schneerson, so we still have his assistance. We also, today is the anniversary of elevation of Rav Pinchas Halevi Horowitz, who was a student of the Maggid of Mezrich. Of course, the Maggid of Mezrich was the primary student of the Baal Shem Tov. So we have all their assistants. And also today is the anniversary of elevation of Rabbi Yaakov, son of Meir, otherwise known as Rabbeinu Tam. He was the grandson of Rashi, one of the greatest commentators that ever lived. And so those of us who put tefillin on, we typically put on Rashi tefillin. But many Hasidim also, and at the Kabbalah Center, a lot of our teachers also, they put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. So there's a story about Rabbeinu Tam. I can't vouch for the accuracy of the story, but this is the story I've heard. Rabbeinu Tam was Rashi's grandson. And when Rabbeinu Tam was a child, he would sit on the lap of his grandfather and reach up to his head tefillin, and it was always like moving it around. Because the difference between the tefillin and we've studied this, the tefillin have 4 specific portions from the Torah, from the 5 books of Moses in them. Each portion corresponds to, the 4 portions correspond to Yud K Vav K. And so the Rashi tefillin, if you look at a head tefillin, you'll see there are 4 compartments with each one with a separate little piece of parchment in there with those specific verses that correspond to Yud K Vav K in that order. But Rabbeinu Tam came along and said, no, the order's messed up. It's Yud K K Vav. And so he rearranged the last 2 portions. That's the difference between the Rashi tefillin and the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. And what we understand is that the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin are an elevated version of the Rashi tefillin. So people, when they get married in Hasidic circles, they start putting on the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Yes, Peter.
If I may, I was going to add, we've also been taught, if this is all right, is that the story I understood as well was that the Rabbeinu Tam never married and went around, and I'm not going to say this quite right, but went around in some sense helping everybody else. So it's also used to the pureness is that it's giving the energy for everyone in relationships. That's why we use it for family, why we use it for our spouses. And
yes, I wasn't familiar with that story. Maybe I've heard it, maybe I don't know, but clearly it's about channeling greater energy for when you have a family, when you get married, and when you have kids, for sure. Okay, as we connect to these verses, let's have a consciousness of uniting the whole world. So we want to have a consciousness of unity from wherever we are, and we are channeling the energy from the flawless universe, from the upper realm, from the level of Binah, from the world to come. And so we want to have in mind energy of elevation for those we know who have recently elevated. We want to have in mind channeling the energy of healing for those we know who need healing, the energy of ahavat chinam, unconditional love, and treating everyone with human decency. Okay, anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? Not all at once. Thanks, Maria. Okay, verse 18. Daber el bnei Yisrael v'yikhu alecha para. Hai para ledach yuta ka atya. Ledak a lemisave. Para b'dekabilat min smala. Uman hu lismala. Shor. Kamadat omer ufnei shor nehas mol aduma sumaka kavavrta. Dichtiv keshoshana ben hachochin. Aduma Gizrat Dina. So before we read the actual English, let's understand what the energy of this week is. This portion is Chukat, which means like ordinances. So when I was a kid, I'm sure Yair was taught the same thing. I'm sure Ellen was taught the same thing. When I was in grammar school, we were taught a chok, which is singular for chukat. Chukat is many choks, laws, ordinances. This is a special category of laws that we don't know the reasons for. That's what we're told. So it's like things that we do that we don't understand the reasons for. And that's where the story ends. And I just find this to be so incredibly relevant. Look, the things that we study, if we don't see the relevancy in our lives, then we're missing the boat. Everything in the context of the spiritual realm and spiritual rules, and there's no greater set of spiritual rules than the 5 books of Moses, the Torah, than the Zohar, which represents the soul of the Torah. I mean, these are our holiest of writings. If we can't connect with why they're relevant in our lives right now, it's not because they're irrelevant, it's because we're irrelevant. It's like our consciousness isn't there. And so it's incredibly important for us to understand the relevancy that these things have in our life right now, in the present moment. So in this section, we're dealing with the red heifer. This is cited as one of the prime examples of, we don't know why we're doing it. We never knew why we were doing it. We're just told to do it, and that's why we do it. So, okay, there may be things we don't know, but we do know what the reasons for this is because we're about to read it. That's the first thing. But what it conjures up, and what it should conjure up for all of us, is we don't want to be doing anything we really don't know the reason for. If you are confronted, if you have this consciousness, if you are reminded that, like, I don't feel purpose and meaning in my life, in whatever area, if you're not feeling the purpose and meaning in your life, then we need to ask why. Why would the Creator create a scenario for me to not feel the purpose and meaning in my life? Why would the Creator do that? Well, you mean the Creator's not doing it? Of course, everything that comes up for you is coming from the Creator. The light is in everything. There isn't anything that comes up in your life that is not coming from the Creator. And you've heard me, with my little joke, like, it'd be so nice every day to get up and get an email from the Creator. Dearest David, sending you all my love. By the way, here are the things I want you to work on today. Like, why can't I get that email? It makes life so much easier. With unconditional love, signed the Creator. Why can't I get that email? You're getting better than an email. You're getting it 24/7. Everything that you encounter was put in your movie because we asked to come down here to do specific work on our soul, and the Creator said, fine, I'll create the ideal scenario for you. Every challenge, every situation, every relationship, it's all designed to assist you with the work you're here to do, which is why, as a corollary, don't ever think you're wasting your time. You're never wasting your time unless you're off the path. You're never wasting time. Everything you're doing is as relevant to your soul's purpose as possible. Arguably, even the things that are wasting your time are just there to get you back on track. Even the things that you realize, I should not be here, that's why it was sent to you. So why do we experience a lack of purpose and meaning in our lives? It's the way the Creator gets to try to wake us up to discovering the purpose and meaning in our life. 17 years ago, I was going nuts, literally. Well, not nuts really, but I was going nuts because I didn't feel the purpose and meaning behind the things that I was doing because I wasn't connecting to the spiritual basis for the things that I was doing. That's what led me here. So you might say, oh, I don't feel the purpose and meaning in my life. That's amazing. Think about it. That's amazing. That's the proverbial email from the Creator. You need to work on this. You need to find purpose and meaning in every area of your life. And if you don't have it, that's because it was designed that way, to give you the opportunity to work on that. Because anyone could sit there and tell you what you're supposed to be doing, but it's experiential. If you don't experience it, you're not going to appreciate it. And that goes back to bread of shame from Kabbalah 1. We need to feel like we are earning it and we are experiencing it and we're paying the price and we're feeling the challenges. Challenges are opportunities for us to elevate our consciousness. And it's all about that. And it's not just about elevating your consciousness. When you elevate your consciousness, you elevate the consciousness of the world. All boats rise with the rising tides. And so I can't work on anyone else's consciousness. I'm working on my consciousness. That's what I'm here to do. That other people may benefit from it. Of course they are. You're channeling energy. And when they're within your realm, they're feeling that energy. Will they wake up to it? I don't know. I don't control that. All I can do is be the most powerful channel I can be for the light of the Creator. It's the only thing that matters. What should I be afraid of? Only being disconnected from the Creator. That should be the only fear. The rest of it is fear, The only thing to fear is fear itself. Other than that, the only fear you should fear is that of being disconnected from the Creator, of not having a consciousness of understanding what I'm doing here and why these challenges are in my life. It's all coming from the Creator. So we need to ask why. And we don't want to be censored for asking why things happen from a spiritual perspective. We need to ask why. We need to lean very heavily into that. The world is depending on it. Okay, Maria.
Speak to the children of Israel that they bring you a red heifer.
Why doesn't it just say, hey, ask the children of Israel to bring you tell the children of Israel to bring you whatever. Why? What do you mean speak to them? This comes down to messages. We are constantly getting messages. We look at this and say, oh, the Creator spoke to Moses and asked the children of it. This is you. This is you. This is a message from the Creator to you right now. Bring a red heifer? There's no red heifers. And actually, every so often one does show up. What does it mean to get a message from the Creator to bring a red heifer? So to my earlier point, the messages that you get from the Creator are not so clear. Intuitively, we have to be present with those messages. Why did that person just say that terrible thing to me? That may have been the red heifer. Why is this conflict showing up in my life right now? My building is refusing to give me a Shabbat key. So all I have is a key fob. I can't use it on Shabbat. I mean, I don't. I mean, because it's electricity. I don't use electricity on Shabbat. So they gave me a key. I lost it. I keep asking, why did I lose it? Well, obviously there's something more important for me to do. And now they won't give me another one. And I've asked them a lot. I've asked very nicely. Now I'm ramping it up. I'll keep you posted. But the point is, like, why is this happening? I don't know why it's happening.
Wait, do I hear a lawsuit in the making here?
But I said the lawyer, but I can't ignore it. It's like, you don't want to threaten a lawsuit out of the box. I said, I think you are unknowingly violating my constitutional rights of free expression of religion. They were
You sent them a letter?
I've had several conversations, several emails. I'm now getting more help from some professionals. Anyhow, these are the messages we get. Don't ignore the messages. What we do about it is something else. What we do about it has a lot to do with trying to figure out what is the point here. What's the purpose here? What was there? I mean, that's crazy. The purpose could be a million things. That's true. But generally speaking, if it's desire to receive for the self, you're not aligned with the purpose. If it's the desire to receive for the sake of sharing, now you're getting closer. And sometimes it's only about a wake-up call to work more on your desire to receive for the sake of sharing. That's what we hear. It's not about us. Will we benefit from it? Yeah, we'll benefit. That's not the point. Yes, we're going to benefit, but we want to make sure our benefit, we're aligned with our soul, and your soul is here to help you remove blockages. And by you removing those blockages, you are manifesting the best version of yourself, and the world is dependent upon that. Okay, well, what's the deal with the red heifer? This is a red cow, essentially. What is the deal with the red heifer? You're kidding. Of all things, I'm like, my God, a red heifer? Couldn't have been like blueberries or something? You know, you can pick a blueberry and it doesn't involve judgment. They're not really, hurting the blueberry bush. When you pick the blueberries, probably you're making room for more blueberries. But clearly those blueberries are being channeled in the physical realm to give us antioxidants, whatever, who knows, whatever kind of nutrients. They're there to help us. When you milk the cow, you're not being judgmental. You're milking the cow. The cow is in pain. It's engorged. By milking the cow, you're actually relieving. It's an act of mercy. Milk is mercy. That's right column. That's why chesed is mercy, is the color white. Great. You milk the cow, you're helping the cow out. You slaughter the cow, that's judgment. That's red. That's what the red heifer is. It's red. It's left column. It's judgment. It's gvura. It's Isaac. That's why we keep white and red separate. We keep our mercy separate from our judgment. We keep our milk separate from our meat. Ellen, you want to say something?
Yeah, I heard I don't know if anybody heard this week. The scientists have found a way to grow meat in a lab. So there's no more.
No. It's already there are already 2 publicly traded companies that do that.
Oh, is there? Oh.
Yeah, that's those burgers. What do they call them again?
Oh, it's old news. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
All
You're
right.
catching up. It's good. It's not real meat. It's
Okay.
synthetic. It's synthetic. It's not real. I'm just saying it doesn't have, lab grown things are not the same for your metabolism. I'm not saying you're good or bad, but I'm saying they're not the same.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, let's continue.
This cow is for the purpose of cleansing to purify the unclean, which is mahut that receives from the left.
Okay, so in this context, it's saying cleansing to purify the unclean. Is that we're supposed to shower that way? Like, what could that possibly mean? It doesn't mean unclean. It doesn't mean physically unclean. We are in volume 18, Chukat, verse 18. Double checking. The red heifer. So it's not about cleansing, clean, like we think about, wash your hands before you eat, taking a shower. It's not that kind of clean. It's removing negativity. It's spiritual blockages. It's spiritual negativity. This isn't the section about like personal hygiene. That is not what this is about. This is about spiritual hygiene. Hygiene doesn't even do the trick. This is about spiritually removing negativity that attaches to us in the physical realm, that creates the blockages. So the first benefit, well, we're getting many benefits of this connection to this section, but the first thing we're getting is by studying the red heifer, we are becoming spiritually cleansed from our negativity and removing of our blockages. And what does that mean for us? It means it's going to give us the ability to see our reality in a deeper way, in a more soulful way. It's like removing the blinders of our ability to connect with our soul. and get messages from our soul. And as the verse starts off, speak to the children of Israel, that's us. That's us. We're the children of Israel. We are getting messages all the time. So it's a powerful, powerful opportunity to, through the red heifer, to remove those blockages, to remove that negative energy, to remove our unknown biases. To remove, and by bias, I don't mean like, racial bias. Yeah, that'll help too. And bias is just like, any influence that's getting in the way of us being on the straight path. A bias is something that pulls you off track. That's what a bias is. Like if you were an airplane and one wing was shorter, you'd be flying in a circle. It's a bias. It's a pull in the wrong direction. It's a lack of balance. It's a lack of balance in perspective. It's like my hangups, whatever those are. Ice cream. It's the negative hangups. It's the things that limit our ability to connect to our unconditional love, which is in here, our unconditional happiness, our third eye, our sixth sense, our soul. It's in the way. And we go off, on tantrums, like, we go off in like, oh my God, we're so far off course. It's those things, it's those blockages. It's the inability to see someone and when they're acting poorly and saying, we say, what's the matter with them? It's nothing the matter with them. It's what happened to them. What happened to them? That's the way they're showing up in this scenario. So it's us connecting more deeply to being compassionate about every situation we're involved with. It's our ability to be unconditional loving in every situation we get involved with. And that's difficult because we're going to get triggered in all the ways that we can't see what's going on. Well, why do I get triggered in that way? Because you don't see what's going on. Again, the universe is trying to help us see an area of our life that we need to remove blockages from. So that's the purpose of the cow, of the red heifer. It's to remove blockages, is to remove negativity, is to give us this ability to hear the voices of our guides, to hear the voice behind the situations that come up for us, to hear our own truth, to connect to our own truth. Okay, keep going.
Who is on that left? It is the ox that is Geburah in Zerampin, as it says. The face of the ox from the left side.
Okay, so that's the vision of Ezekiel, which comes up all the time because it's one of the most. It's actually the Haftorah that's read on Shavuot morning. It's the chariot of Ezekiel, the vision of the chariot of Ezekiel, and it's a very difficult portion of the prophets to understand, but he's describing a construct of reality, which we're not going to get into right now, but we just did get there because this is about left side. And what does left side represent? So remember, there's 3 columns Kabbalistically. There is the right column, which is Abraham, which is mercy, which is white, which is the milk from the cow. There is left column, which is Gevurah, which is judgment, which is discernment, which is boundaries, which is red, which is Isaac. As we've discussed before, Isaac never leaves the land of Israel during his lifetime because he needed to stay there to keep judgment in balance. He was all about restriction and keeping that judgment restricted. Because if the world were only living, we only had judgment, the world would not survive. So that's the channel that Isaac represents. And then we have Tiferet, we have Jacob, the color green, the color of balance. the color of, everything healthy in nature. And those three columns, when those three columns are aligned, we channel blessings from the upper realm. As I shared recently, another way to look at that, we know right column as mercy, but we can look at left column as appreciation. So on one hand, it's judgment. On the other hand, what is that? What do you mean appreciation? This is our ability to pause and just count our blessings in the face of crazy stuff going on in our own lives and in the world. It's like appreciate the blessings that we have. And another level, while Tiferet is central column is balance, it's also certainty. In what? Certainty in the light. Like when all three columns are in balance, we have to really have certainty to channel the blessings from the Creator. We live in a world where it doesn't look like there's a Creator. Where it doesn't look like there's anything beyond physicality. That's the illusion. So we have certainty that there is a deeper reality, a 99% realm, a flawless universe from whence our blessings come. I was using the example the other day. It's like, imagine you turn the shower on, but you're not getting wet. Well, you need to align yourself with the water under the shower head to get wet. Turning the shower on doesn't do anything if you're not in the shower. The Creator, that's my metaphor, the Creator wants to rain blessings down us at all times. That's why we're here, to channel those blessings. But we're not in total alignment with the light. So one of the things that we're getting here, and one of the things we always want to be thinking about is, what do I need to do to align myself with my soul's purpose, and thereby get under the shower head, manifest all that water, all those blessings in our lives. Receive the fulfillment in all the areas that we perceive lack. Okay, keep going.
Red means red as a rose, as it is written, like the rose among thorns. Red means as a sentence of law, since the laws of the left columns are considered red.
Okay, so this again goes back to the point where red is left column, red is law, red is judgment, red is boundaries. Tonight, when we make Kiddush to connect to the energy that we are connecting with on Shabbat, Hasidim add a little water to the wine. I wish that was a funny story, actually. So I guess mine brought a really good bottle of wine. And before I made Kiddush, I poured a little water. And he's like, why are you diluting my wine? I said, well, first of all, it's a gift. It's not mine. And second of all, I said, because that's what Hasidim do. We add mercy, water, to red, to gvura, to wine. That's how we inject mercy into situations. And one of the most important is making Kiddush Friday night, as we are transitioning from energy of the week to the holy energy of Shabbat, the opportunities for us to manifest blessings. It's an easier opportunity. I don't know if we're at midday yet. One of the reasons why I started doing this class many years ago on Fridays is because after 12:15 or so is when the day starts transitioning to Shabbat. The light of Shabbat is already infusing our day. It's at 12:53, so it's another 6 minutes, which is great. So that's why some people don't work after midday on Friday, because already the energy of Shabbat is manifesting. And it's growing until the actual time for candlelighting, where it's full-on Shabbat energy. And at that point, in order that we can maximize that connection to Shabbat and the blessings that are available, people accept restrictions on themselves, physical restrictions that separate them from physicality somewhat, so that they're better able to connect to the spiritual blessings, the spiritual energy that becomes available on Shabbat. On Shabbat, our realm of Malchut, vessel, becomes connected more strongly with the energy of Zeir Anpin, the Sfirot above, that channel the blessings from the flawless universe. But that begins to happen today at 12:53. Chicago time. So we want to be present to that. I mean, you might think that Friday afternoon feels differently because TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Literally, thank God it's Friday. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Weekend. Woo-hoo! Party time. I mean, that's the way I felt when I was in college. You are feeling that energy. We think we're feeling that energy because we're, if you're not working on Saturday, you just feel the energy, you're getting a break. That is our logical mind trying to make sense of what we are feeling, of what we are experiencing. The other reality, the 99% reality, is that we feel the energy of Shabbat. We can just connect it to the fact we're not working tomorrow. We connect to the fact that for a 25-hour period of time, there is energy of the upper realm that is more available to us than any other time of the week. That's the reality. It's the energy that we perceive, that we feel, is always trying to tell us something. And if we marginalize it, we don't really fully connect. If we maximize it, if we optimize it, if we approach it with a heightened level of consciousness, we open up those channels more strongly, so we can channel those blessings. Let's take another verse, verse 19. Tamima, my tamima. Kama detanenan, shor tam v'shor mu'ad. Shor tam dina rafya, shor mu'ad dina kasha. Ovhacha tamima dina rafya. Guvura ta'a dahi tamima. Guvura ila'a dahi dina kasha. V'yan hachazaka takifa. Maria?
Without defect.
Okay, so that red heifer has to be without defect. How do we know which red heifer is the one that was sent here to facilitate in the removal of negativity? Any red heifer? No. The red heifer comes with specific features, and one of them is without defect. And defect, this is not a negative. This is an aspect of the physicality of the red heifer, which shows that it is aligned with the purpose for which the Creator sent the red heifer here. So don't think defect like the poor heifer was like, is disabled. It's not what it's about. It's about which is the red heifer designated for this role of assisting us. So we talked about keeping milk and meat separate. Those are the laws of kashrut, and that's something that we do. One of the other things that we know is that animals, and the red heifer is no different, with certain defects don't qualify as being kosher. They're still here. They're still going to nourish the world, but they don't qualify as being kosher. What's the difference between a chicken that was slaughtered under the Kabbalistic rules of kosher slaughter and the rules of non-kosher? What's the difference? The chicken tastes the same. Assume it's identical. The chicken that is slaughtered under the Kabbalistic rules of ritual slaughter is the one that was sent here to assist the children of Israel in their spiritual work. The one that wasn't slaughtered that way wasn't sent here for that. Wait a second. The chickens were grew up in the same chicken farm in upstate New York, not far from the summer camp I went to. The chickens were together. They knew each other. They hung out together. They ran in the little chicken coop together. There's no difference. There's no blemishes or nothing. They're both healthy chickens. How do you mean? One was sent to the kosher slaughterhouse, one was sent to the non-kosher slaughterhouse. What do you mean? One is aligned with the purpose of helping the children of Israel doing their spiritual work, and one wasn't. It seems arbitrary. No such thing as arbitrary. No such thing. That's 1%. The chickens could have easily switched. No. That's not what happened. That chicken was designated at inception to go to the kosher slaughterhouse. The other one was not. And this is a level of seeing the world from not a 1% perspective, seeing the world in a 99% perspective. So part of what we're gaining in this section with this understanding of the blemish of the red heifer versus the non-blemished red heifer is understanding that there is a system beyond what we see that determines all things. We can look at it as, coincidence or randomness. That's the word I'm really going. We can look at it as randomness. It's not randomness. It's not random. It's part of the plan. It's the blueprint of reality. Everything is playing out exactly the way it's supposed to. One chicken goes one way, another chicken goes another way. One ends up on the Shabbat table, the other one ends up, fried chicken somewhere. They're both healthy, arguably. But one specifically was sent here to assist us in doing our spiritual work. Okay, keep going.
Without defect, Hebrew teminah. He asked, it is written without defect. What is the meaning? He responds, it is as if we taught about a bull that has not gored, Hebrew tam, and the bull that has gored thrice.
Okay, so in the oral tradition, in the Talmud, there are rules set down, specific rules for bulls that gore and specific rules of bulls that don't gore. You're kidding me. That there's something spiritual about that? Why is it explained in that way? Again, giving us the opportunity to unpack it so we appreciate the spiritual rules that we come to understand. Here, it's a difference between a bull that isn't so aggressive, because the bull that is gored thrice is an aggressive bull. And there's specific rules. When you own an aggressive bull, you may be potentially liable when your bull gores the livestock of your neighbors. Gores once, maybe you wouldn't know that he was an over-aggressive bull. Gores thrice, 3 strikes, you're out. That's what the Talmud is saying. But what does this mean for us? So I had this conversation with a new student recently who explained to me that he shows up and tries to assist people in his life with their challenges, and they not only don't they appreciate it, they criticize him. They beat him up, not physically, emotionally. And he's like, it's just too much for me to handle. So we all experience at times that aggressive bull. And if you see a pattern of aggressive bulls, which is my metaphor for people who are just offensive or not respectful, if you experience that in your life, if you're seeing a pattern, it's part of the email the creator is sending you that you need to set up boundaries. In this case, in the Talmud, the owner of that aggressive bull needs to set up boundaries, otherwise he's going to be liable. And in our situation, our life, when we encounter people who are treating us with a lack of human decency, we're not supposed to be okay with that. We're supposed to set up boundaries. If we're in relationships where we're not valued, we're not respected for who we are, those are happening in our life so that we learn to set up appropriate boundaries, so that we learn to speak our truth, so we learn not to compromise on who we are and what we need in a relationship. So some might see a red heifer, some might see an aggressive bull, but what we're seeing on a much deeper level is opportunities for removing negativity, is making distinctions between what's appropriate for us to use for a spiritual purpose and what isn't supposed to be used in a spiritual purpose. We're seeing opportunities to make distinctions between what we're going to accept in our life and what we're not going to accept in our life. Any questions? Let's finish the English here.
The bull that has not gored means lacks soft judgment. The bull that has gored thrice is harsh judgment. Here too, taminach means a lax sentence that is lower geburah, meaning machut, since one that is as such is without defect. Geburah, up high, that is the geburah in Zerampin, is the severe and the mighty hand.
So we want, in this context, here we are talking about extreme judgment. The bull that gores thrice, this is extreme judgment. And the bull that doesn't gore is lax judgment. We want all the judgments that are potentially coming after us, we want them sweetened. This is a great thing to connect to, as Rosh Hashanah is less than 3 months away. So the additional benefit that we're getting is now's the time to work on the work we need to do to prepare for the new year. Because rest assured, the other side is not paying attention. The other side is not getting involved. I've learned this from David Guillaume. This is the opportunity to start working on it. Get all our work done now.
I was going to mention that about David Guillaume. He's like, now is the time to actually
Now's the time.
look
The
about
other
Russia.
side isn't even waking up to it yet. It's too early.
Yeah.
Now's the time for us to be doing all that work. So any judgments heading our way are sweetened and are light and just pass through us like a breeze or a gentle tap. Okay, everybody. Love you all. Shabbat shalom. Have an awesome Shabbat. See you next week.
You too.
Thank you.
You too.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.